Hey guys, it's Nemo and welcome to the second phase of public test AA testing. I don't want to thank Dream and Addy, for two of my clan members, for helping me out with the testing on this today. It has been really good. Now what we can see here, so I'll just jump straight into it pretty much, is we're building a full AA build Worcester. Now we are loading up everything we can for anti-air, including modules, and then captain skills, so basic firing training, advanced firing training, and then what used to be the targeting, which is still manual fire control. It has changed now. It's now sector. It's still called manual fire control, but it's sector reinforcement. So we've built our full AA cruiser. Let's go and have a look at how it goes. Now we have a Worcester, Minotaur and Hack division, and I have to say it's set quite a number of people off today on the PTS. Now, but we're not doing it to boss the PTS. We're doing it for one. Worcester and Minotaur are the two best AA cruisers in the game. Okay, and the Minotaur actually in the 0.8 version, which is still in testing, has a better base AA rating than the Worcester, so that's pretty good, like, for the Minotaur. But the thing that the Worcester gets is the defensive fire consumable, which makes it a lot stronger. So we have the Worcester, Minotaur, because we wanted to test out a combination of these two ships, and especially when you put yourself into smoke with the Minotaur. So Dream's going to play smoke Minotaur, and then we'll use the smoke to cover us while the AA's up. There's also the radar, so it could be quite powerful. Now the reason we're running the Hack is because we couldn't do any of the testing that we wanted to do in co-op or training battles. Co-op and training battles now do not let you play against bot CVs, so we had to go into random battles, and I think it worked out pretty well, because this is the kind of environment that you're going to be in most of the time, the random battle environment, where you're going to be getting fought against by other ships, by other players who are playing similar things to you. And to be honest, like, let's test out what a full AA division is. I mean, how many times do you see in the random battles that there are CV divisions? All the time. Okay, so now you can see the planes there on my weak side. I've only shot down one at the moment, and on my weak side, even with the defensive AA, it wasn't really doing much. If you had noticed the circle that popped up on the map on the screen before, and you can see down here in the bottom left hand corner where it's got a green highlight. So the green highlight is what sector I am focusing my AA for, so multiplying the AA power over there. And you use O is the key to do that. Also, I don't know what the key is called, but the key above tab next to one little squiggle there, you can use that as well to change your AA focusing. So it's not something that's really difficult. You just click it, like push the O, quickly click, and where you want your AA to focus, and then off you go. So the next battle after this actually will showcase a lot more of the way you swap between the different sides. So this one not as much. This one will actually be relatively short, because pretty much all the AA that we got to test out was done right here, almost at the beginning of the battle. The CV realised pretty quick, as you do now as a CV player, where the enemy threats are, where the AA threats are. So in that case, you're not going to change the way the game is played too much. So it will jump here because there's nothing happening between the CVs. What we wanted to get was capture the testing. So this is a little bit later on. We've gone around the corner, and then the last of the CV or anti-air action for this game will pretty much pop up relatively shortly. So just the same as any normal game, you push around together. You know, I pop the radar, I know that there's a Minotaur there, and we saw the midway down the bottom, and I said to Dreams, we're not going to go after him. The reason we're not going to go after him is because we want to test the AA. But you know, by all means, you could probably push down there and get him. But he'd be long gone by now. I mean, we saw him over there ages ago, so I doubt he's there now. Now you can see that on the bottom left-hand corner, and it's on the other side. My defensive focusing, but then I went to change it. Then I'm not sure if I actually clicked it. As you can see, it's there we go. So it's finally changed. It takes a little bit to change over, and it will. And so here we go. We've got the defensive AA up. We've also got the focus fire going, and Dream is even there with his anti-air. And it didn't really seem to do much more. You know, I ended up getting six plane kills in here. I can't remember actually how many Dream had, but he didn't have much more either. So unfortunately that was the end of the AA. We didn't see any more planes. Now that drop there, those torpedoes in the background, we thought that he pulled the drop out. And sometimes with the new UI, the arming distance, and you'll see in the next video as well, the torpedoes will arm, but you won't actually see them arm yet. So they've just got a little bit of the UI to tweak there yet, which will be really helpful. So we'll swap over to a non-AA build. So what a build that I would probably call more of a actually, I wouldn't call it any build. I'd just call it a better build for the Worcester. I think I like it. I mean, you only really run a totally AA build with the Worcester if you're going to play those CV divisions where you've got, you know, a double Worcester and a midway or something like that in the current iteration of the game. You know, where people just go out there to absolutely troll you and make sure that they win. And that's as I said, that's what we got accused of today on the public test server. I mean, it's just a test server, guys, and nothing to really whinge about. I mean, your win rate gets reset every time they bring out a new test. So but that would be the only real time that I would build a full AA build. Otherwise, the build that I'm about to put together here, and I'm unsure why it's delayed as so much, is probably what I would more run with the Worcester. With the Minotaur, you run a bit of a hybrid, so you put AFT on to put the the planes, the AA range out a bit further, but it doesn't. AFT now doesn't affect the range. It's the modules now that will affect the range of how far you can fire. So if you've got the double modules on, or there's the for the full AA build, things like that, that's what will affect your range. The others just increase damage every now and then, or how much flak goes into the air. So, you know, I'd run this build here with the Superintendent. The reason I'd run the Superintendent is that you get more radar, you get more hydro, you get more heals, you get more AA, you know, and so it might be a bit more helpful. And definitely with the IFHE, the Worcester at the moment needs the IFHE, and until they nerf that, then we're not going to change that. We're not going to stop running IFHE on 152mm guns. Now, the reason I've delayed into this battle is that my son actually wanted me to open a Chuppa Chup for him, and those things are anti-parent. I mean, it's so hard to open. And as soon as we get in, someone starts attacking us about how lame we are. But you know, we're not here for him. We're here for all you guys to test out the AA, and so we try to engage with the other guys on the other team in constructive manners. You know, we're here to test him, and this is what we're finding. And so because it's public test server and there's not that many people on, there are a lot of bots in these random battles. I had this amazing game earlier today actually while playing the Worcester, and it was something like 339,000 damage, but there are a handful of bots in there as well, so bots play totally different. So this is the non-AA build that we want to test out, and Dream's doing the same thing. He's got more of a hybrid build, so he's got a DD hunting build but with AFT, and so he's still playing Smoke because we still wanted to see if the Smoke Minotaur and the Worcester with radar would be effective, and it's still effective. I mean, the only thing I can say at the moment from what I've seen in the last couple of battles here is that it's still going to be okay. So there's still another round of testing to go. They're going to have 3 tests on the PTS, but we'll see here, and we'll showcase, and I'll give you my conclusion obviously at the end. And so what we're doing is obviously standard stuff. Now the Worcester is a very good open water cruiser, played in the hands of a good captain. Open water Worcester is quite effective. Now my gunnery is not as on point at the moment as it was earlier today, but it's because I'm not worried about the gunnery at the moment. I'm trying to test AA, so I don't want to get Torp out of the game early because that wouldn't be effective testing. So I see the planes on the other side, so I swap over my priority, no, my focus, where I want the guns to focus more than on the other side, and then I head back up towards the island because here's our enemy up here. This is where you want to be, and an anti-air cruiser, you sort of want to have it in an area that you can dominate and control. Now as it is with the Worcester, it can be 8.6 kilometer AA, and that's quite far, and now you can't get any further than 6.9. But you know what, the 6.9 is not too bad. I mean, have a look at the yellow ring there on the mini map around me. There's 3 yellow rings. There's the little one in the right around my icon, so my ship reticule down there, that's my short range AA. Then there's my mid range AA, and then my long range AA, which is the 6.9. so you can still see that this map hotspot is a map that is, there's a lot of high tiers on there, high tier games played on this map. You can see it still covers quite a fair chunk of the map. Can you imagine having 3 Worcesters across the map, one at each cap, or Worcester, Des Moines, and Minotaur or something like that? You'd still cover quite a lot of the map with overlapping AA. So we want to try and get rid of all your threats, the closest threats. If we get rid of the Republic over here, then there's nothing on this side to threaten us. So that's just standard gameplay, get some crossfires, get things out of the way. Now, we can't test AA too well at the moment with overlapping ships because Dream's on the other side of the island, although his 6.9, as you can see from where he is, would be overlapping me. Now, the enemy CP here, he says AA is, with expletives, OP on ships. And I see his planes there, so I change again. So it's just a quick click, quick change. It's almost like how you control click and you priority a ship. Well, now it's not control click like that. It's just O click. So it's just something different, a little bit different type of micromanaging. From what we found, and we start saying here, it's not exactly what we're finding, that AA is totally OP on ships, but have a look at who he is attacking. Have a look at the mini-map right now. He's attacking a Conqueror, and he complains about the Conqueror and the Republic in a minute. There is a green circle there over the top of one of our ships. I believe it's a Montana. That's where that is where our CV, so Addy, has dropped a fighter squadron to protect that guy there. Plus there's overlapping AA between the Monty and the Conqueror, and the DD there, and I say in the chat, overlapping AA is pretty strong. It looks pretty strong, and that's what Dream says here. You hit multiple zones and it's pretty rough, and it is. And then this guy here says AA sucks balls. Now I don't know what the sucking of balls has to do with testing out AA. I mean, sucking balls maybe if you're going to test out a new brothel, but when you're doing mechanics for an AA game, no, sucking balls got nothing to do with it. So here you can see this is, you know, standard Worcester gameplay. A little bit of an island here, good cover, and then the enemy CV. He says, you know, the Republic and the Conqueror are monsters, and then I was talking to both Dream and Annie. I'm like, yeah, they are. They're monsters if you fly over overlapping overlapping AA, plus if there is a fighter dropped by a CV over that. In that overlapping play, you're going to get absolutely wrecked. I don't care what you are, you're going to get absolutely wrecked. So, and the Conqueror, as I stated here in the chat, it has an 84 base rating of its AA. So when you actually buff the AA, it can get to a lot more than that. And now we know that AA is totally different than what it is in the current iteration. It is going to be quite strong, I think, on all ships. Okay, so at the moment, this is, as I said, this is phase 2 of the testing. Now I should have a work in progress flag up in the corner, but I don't. I haven't got one of those, but this is work in progress. So there will be another phase of testing, and again, my clanmates and I will do another video to test for you guys about all the changes. You know, if we don't want us to be in the dark, we don't want you to be in the dark. So the AA seems to have been buffed a little bit from the last test. Now at the current time, I've only got one plane shot down. Yeah, you know, usually I would have all of those down right now, but it's not, and you know what, it's not too bad. So the enemy CV has said it's really hard, it's really difficult, and then on the other hand, as you can see there, we see that it hasn't really kicked in yet. There is a bit later in this battle where I can tell you now, overlapping fires of AA is going to be totally worth playing, and that's what, you know, my teammates and I are here trying to test out. Is it going to be worth it? Now I got 3 there. Now Dream starts smoking up. There's 4 gone down. 4 planes. There's no defensive fire up. It's just all the flak that's up in the sky. This is not an AA build or anything like that. So it's still all going to come down to RNG. You know, how many planes you shoot down. Is the carrier player a good player? If he's a good player, he's probably still going to wreck you. If you do silly things like sail on your own. I remember stories from the beta test, the closed beta, and that when everyone was testing the game before it came out, and they were saying that CVs used to be that powerful that you would see blobs of ships just sailing around, trying to stick together, use their AA together, and then they would hopefully fight the CV that way. Now it's not going to be anything like that right now. It's not like that at all. As you can see, have a look at the middle of the map here. We've got a Moskva not far away. There's a Worcester, a Conqueror, and a Minotaur in the middle. If a CV comes near that, any sane CV player is not going to go near that. He knows he can't. So what would I be doing? I'd be going and looking for isolated ships. I'd maybe even go and look for the CV, but the CV's AA is quite good at the moment. You know, you can pop fighters and things like that, or it automatically pops fighters for you if they're not on cooldown. And the Republic there, he's getting in that range. All the ships here are actually, we're dominating 1 cap at the moment. We don't need to go near the A cap because there's hardly anyone left. We don't have to try and stretch ourselves to cap the C cap. Unfortunately, our conch burnt down there from the Hindenburg, and so he goes after the Republic over there. But the Republic is always going to have relatively good AA because a lot of Republics will run AFT, BFT for the secondary build. So your secondary build is going to affect your AA. Now if you wonder why the aircraft disappeared there and I didn't get any really shot down, is you can recall the fighters on the CV, and once you recall the fighters it pretty much makes them fly well above everything so that they can't be attacked. Now here he does a drop on me, right, and I think he's going to drop behind me, but he does a pretty good drop. Now that the defensive AA doesn't scatter anymore, so it's now determined by how far away you drop, by how far you scatter. And see the UI here? They aren't armed. They don't look like they're armed. And I was like, oh hang on, I'm going to get away with that. They haven't armed yet, but they did. So there's a couple of tweaks on the UI that need to be fixed up, because I thought I was going to get away with that. Now that's also, we had our overlapping fields of fire there. We shot down another couple of planes and things, but you know, as I said, it's more down to RNG, and it's a little bit later on, not too much later on, where you will see what can absolutely happen if you work together. If we were 3 random ships here, what would I be doing? I'd be making sure that I was within 6.9 kilometers of each of the ships so that we would overlap our fields of fire anyway. There's only 2 enemy ships left. The only ship that can really hurt us badly at the moment is the CV, and that's because the Hindenburg is out running. He doesn't want anything to do with the battle, and unfortunately for him, if I was the Hindenburg, I'd actually be getting a bit closer to the CV to buff our attack on aircraft. So because the Hindenburg is running away as he is, Addy now has all the time in the world, all the freedom in the world to go and attack him on his own. And you know what? That is exactly the type of CV play that happens right now. Any CV worth their salt will see a ship away on its own, not with any friends around, not with any help, and they'll just think, yeah, mincemeat, you're mine. I'm going to have you, and it's going to be the same here. From all our testing that we've done over the last 2 test series, and then we'll do one more test series after this, overlapping fields of fire are the way to go, guys. Help each other out. If you're playing a random battle of total randoms and there's no communication, just know your AA range and stick together. You don't have to be in each other's pockets, but if you've got a little bit of overlap between each one, then you're going to do really well. You're going to effectively keep a carrier out of the game, and it's almost the same thing that you can do now. If you work together properly now, you can keep a carrier out of the game. If a carrier does want to kill you though when you're solo, he will kill you. And have a look at, watch the minimap, because Addy is attacking this guy and he does go down. See that fields of fire there, that overlapping? So that was our mid-range. That was both mine and Dream's mid-range AA going off without an AA build, without defensive fire. It was just sector selected. You can absolutely wreck stuff. I think my end count is 34. 34 planes in this battle I ended up shooting down. Now the attack on... so there's more planes here, and he's coming in for an attack, and I believe he pulls out. I don't actually think he launched the torps there. There's more planes going down, so the Hindenburg's just gone down. Dream finishes him off, but he couldn't shoot down any of Addy's planes, and then he gets pretty salty in the chat at the end here. So we're just going to cut this video footage here, because that guy especially, and the CV at the end, that guy appeared, the Hindenburg player appeared in 2 of our battles, and what they were saying against us was just absolutely filth and disgusting. It's not fit for YouTube, it's not fit for gaming, full stop. Shouldn't be in the game. If you can't handle the game, don't play the game. Okay, we were there on the test server of all things to test out the AA. So, we'll go over everything I've just said again in a quick conclusion, and the conclusion is that it doesn't matter what build you have, full AA or no AA build at all. Teamwork is OP. Okay? Work together, like you should be now, working together. It doesn't matter if the CV can strike you for 20 minutes. There was a part there where, as you saw, I shredded 9 planes and Dream got 3 of them. So, in that little bit there where we were close together, the CV had nothing, no power at all. He can only fly 1 squadron at a time now. So, working together is going to keep you alive. Am I worried about the CV rework in this current iteration, guys? No, there's no need to fear. We don't need to have the fear out there, fellas. It's just part of the game. Let's enjoy the game. Anyway, guys, happy hunting in Warships, and enjoy it, because it is a good game. It is a good game. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you next time.